What is up, everyone? Pittsburgh White Shorts coming at you with another deck tech, multi-deck tech this time for Attack on Titan. I'm joined today by Andy and Brian.
Yo, what's up, everybody?
3 whole decks.
Yeah, we got 3 decks for you today. There was a lot of cool stuff in Attack on Titan final season that works with, the old stuff. We got 2 sets, Volume 1 and 2. And then a lot of stuff that's canned specifically to just final season. So even with the reprints, if you don't want to track down some of those old cards, there's plenty in the set for you. We got 3 here. We got 1 that uses a lot of the old cards, and then 2 that are mostly just the new set, as well as like some of the PRs that you can get at your local game store for buying sealed product or participating in events. So you should be able to get your hands on those without having to get any reprint stuff. So let's just jump right into it. We'll start out with Windbar Core. This is sort of like the update to the old deck that you good old Fate to Bear Aaron, the man himself, the good old +2 that ran the English format for so long. So we're just going to get into a lot of cards that if you played White Schwartz for a long time, specifically the English format, you probably know, love, and love to hate. We got the Armin Center Runner, only 3 because we are also running the Reiner from the PR pack. He is a avoider, so he runs away from combat. So if your opponent puts some utility cards in the alternative lanes, if you open with them, he can't run to them, but he can run away, so it still gives you a chance to plus. And then he pumps any core character 1k on attack, any other core character, which is pretty nice considering some of our newer cards are off name for Aaron, which can kind of suck because Aaron only gets pumped by Aaron's, Mikasa's, and Armin's. So we just want to keep his power up, so Reiner's a little bit good there. He's also red fix for a decompression tool we run later. So we're going to run a 3-3 split of runners for a total of 6. We're also playing 4 of the new Levi Ricky. When other characters attack, he gets 1k, so he's a 3500 on attack Ricky, which is pretty good. The fact that all of your level 0s can like crest to 35 or higher is pretty nice, especially if you get locked at 0. You can like answer your opponent's lingering level 1 combos or stuff like that, which is a pretty cool thing that AOT can do pretty well. 2 of the new Armin Brainstorm, self-tap Brainstorm, and then you can pay 2 and self-tap for climaxes. A Brainstorm that when you hit on a climax, you can salvage a climax. Pretty cool last-ditch effort to get into win, because as we all know, Aaron is sink or swim if you get the climax, so you really got to make sure you confirm that win, and that just helps you there. Running 1 of the Aaron Search Brainstorm, just to sort of split up our Brainstorm options. The 1k in the center could come up. I'm still testing that. It could very easily be 3 Armin Brainstorm. Depends on what you want. I don't think it's too relevant, but splitting the Brainstorm for the option is just something that I was messing with, and I think is worth testing, especially if people are playing standby. But people can always play around it by putting their big characters always in the side lanes, so just something to keep in mind. 2 of the new Aaron Titan, again, just more things that are both on name for Aaron and also can help pump Aaron. The Aaron Titan is on play. You pump 500 times board to any character, including itself, so it can get big to strike over something at 0 if you're stuck at 0 for a 0 turn, maybe clear level 1, or it can give Aaron up to 2500 power. Really nice. Also has discard a character, draw a little bit of extra dig for a climax, since we also now have a climax swapper. Sasha's really good in this deck specifically because of course she's a climax swap. We're also running Bar to help confirm our win, and she also has on play optional mill 3. We all know the Aaron fail case of not having our gears engrave, and this is one way to not only confirm your climax but also mill to maybe hit some of those gears engraved to make you can pick them up with Aaron. Similarly, that is why we are running the off trait Gabby Chiuri. I was originally running the Armin 1-0, but with how many extra off colors we are adding, especially with just how the game is going, we want our mill to be at 0. We want to be like more informed. The game is faster now, and you don't really have like the time to just play this like Armin Brise mill 3, and if you whiff now in today's day and age, it feels even worse than before. So we're gonna run the Chiuri, even though not a lot of our characters, specifically at level 0, are Eldian. A good amount are, but specifically Reiner and Armin Runner are not. So she won't always get that extra power, but she is mainly here for the Chiuri effect, which again grabs any level 1 or higher non-traded, so it can pick up pretty much every important card we run at 1, and we do run a fatter level 1 lineup in this deck because we're also running events. Gabby can grab events. Level 1 is the standard AOT line you have seen in every single deck since the beginning of time. It is 4 Aarons, 4 Aaron Globals, and 4 gears. You can run 4 move gears, or you can run 3 search gears, or you could play 3 search gears and 1 salvage gear. I prefer running the 1 salvage gear just to give you the option. It's pretty non-committal to have in your deck, but when you need it, when you like trigger on your last hack and you just want to have an option to pay it out, or the card that you need is engrave and you're not refreshing that turn or something like that, it gives you a nice on-demand option to rip cards out of your grave. And again, it's pretty non-committal include, so I'm always a fan. Level 2, 2 Armins, of course. 2 scared Armin turns into big Armin. Big reason you want to play core in general. 1 memory kick, so we don't instantly fold to TRV. That is the only reason it is in the deck. It can also like randomly be good against some some finishers, but it's mostly there so that we just have any game plan against TRV at all. Because otherwise we have almost nothing, because our only real healer is Aaron healer. We are kind of like going in, kind of like the old AOT decks. We're not really focused on healing down in the mid game. We're playing super efficiently, and then we're going to kill them. So we have to have that mem kit counter to give us some sort of out to that deck as it continues to be high in popularity. And then we're playing the 2-1 Armin instead of the 2-1 Ymir from the PR pack, because not only is it yellow, but it can refund us our stock, and we're not too worried about holding board or anything like that. The hand on core, we're not trying to extend our level 2. That's not something in our game plan. We're just sort of looking for a bridge into level 3, and the 2-1 Aaron is really good for that. Give us our stock back when he kills an early play or any level 2 or lower or higher card. Moving into level 3, 2 Armins. You just get the old card out of the way. This card is the main reason you want to be playing core. Defensive counters are really annoying, especially in this meta, and Armin means you don't have to deal with any of them at any time, which is really nice. 4 Levi combo. This is our top end combo of choice. You can see that it is our only green. We are playing 4 Rickies and 4 Levi's, and that is it. We level one of them anytime. You're going to level yellow, then you're going to level green, then you're going to level red. A red is only in here for one tech card that we won't always need to play, but we have enough red to be able to make sure that we can play it if we need to. But the Levi is on play, deck top 3, adds any card, and then is 500 for each of your other characters on your turn. 11-5, climax down to 12-5 in front of Armin 14-5. Play any additional pumps if you need any more power than that, of which there are many, because we have to include pumps in this deck to support Armin, which also in turn support Levi, so that kind of all works together there. And then he is on reverse, pay 2, ditch 2, clock kick, then burn 2. Pretty destructive finisher, and because he cantrips, pretty decent cost. Bar obviously working well with wind, helping us confirm our climax, as well as being able to swap into it on successive turns. Aaron kind of loops himself, Bar leads right into that. 2 of the new Aaron early play, 11k on your turn, has stock kick, so hard removes cards from the board, 8-5 off, 4 or more Orbs or Eldian on board early play. Healer, really good card, almost over spec, a lot of text on that one. And then we have 1 of the Mikasa Fumio. This card was errata. Is it a real Fumio? It works, thank God. We only have 6 red. Again, it's a tech card. You could do some things to up that red. You could like play 4 Reiner Runner or something like that, but 6 versus 7 to play a single level 3 is never much of an issue in my opinion, but you could invert that ratio as much as you need to support that.
Yeah, with the Fumio, like just the threat of it, your opponent seeing that you have it can deter them from big stock generation plays sometimes. Assuming they're not all in on that strategy, like something like Tokyo Revengers might be.
It's just some form of decompression.
Red, you're not playing this every game anyways.
It's just some form of decompression. It would be nice if it was a stock swap. I think stock swap's a little bit more universally relevant, but some form of decompression for this deck I think is necessary. Otherwise, people can start just not playing around you at all and saying you will never kill me, which is never a good feeling.
Yeah, so sometimes you catch those games where you're going into your finisher turn and your opponent is just like 3 and 6, and you're like, wow, there's no way I can kill you. That's what this card is for. It gives you a way out in those hopeless situations where you couldn't get through their deck otherwise.
It gives you like an option to possibly re-roll for damage for those like super small deck states like Brian said. But yeah, so far I've tested this. I have about like 20 games on it. Not all this specific build. Again, I've been working in some things. Played 1-0 Armin. Played a lot less pumps. Tried to just play Aaron raw. That didn't go very well. Had a lot of issues with names. Playing a lot of the other utility cards. You can like, notably, a lot of the really good new utility cards are not in this deck. Things like Historia Rico and stuff like that. The more of those you add, the harder it is for Aaron to like hit his name condition for power throughout the game. So you have to make some concessions. You really have to build to support Aaron. But thankfully, building to support Aaron also builds to support Levi. So there's definitely something here. I think the list needs tuned. But again, that's what these multi-deck techs are for. These are for like first impression sort of smoke test kind of stuff. So there's definitely something here with this. If you want to play Aaron, I definitely think also playing Levi is the way. I don't think mixing it with anything else will work. You lose a lot of slots for including the gear. You have to include a lot of stuff for power pumps and stuff like that. So you kind of need something very lean like Levi that doesn't need any additional cards. Like I don't think you could very easily play this with the Sasha. I think it would end up being a very greedy list. You'd be on like 1-1 splits of the Armin package. You'd be on a lot less level 0s. You'd probably only get to play 4 runners, which kind of sucks. I think being on 6 runners for that comfy opener, that 10 plussing 0s, really nice in modern white shorts, and you have to kind of give that up, which would suck. So I think if you're gonna play Aaron, you really do have to add a lot of cards to support him. And again, I don't have a lot of games on it, but that's just sort of my opinion going in, because I played like the first half of my games without supporting Aaron, and the second half of my games with dedicating a lot of deck slots to supporting Aaron, and it went pretty different differently. So,
Yeah, if there was ever a deck to try to make this Levi work, it's in a deck with the Armin back row for the counter dodging potential, and also a deck where you are running a ton of power pump to support the Aaron already
mhm.
to help get those reverses.
And if you really got to crack down something, that Mikasa in front of Armin is like 14, 16, climax down 17. So he's got that going for it too. But yeah, pretty simple. If you played English White Shorts for an extended amount of time, you already know how this deck works. It's just modern version of it. So we can move on to Andy's far more new modern deck using most of these like new cards.
Yeah. So again, if you are looking at that last deck, the Wind Bar, that's pretty much the updated version of the old school deck that uses a lot of the old cards. If you were trying to build that deck, it's nice because set 1 and set 2 of AOT also just had a reprint lately, so this stuff's not absurdly expensive anymore, which is nice. But if you are just getting into AOT for the first time and have just picked up a playset or some boxes of the final season new set that we are covering, then these next two decks that we're going to be going over here use only cards from the new set, so you won't have to go hunt down any of the older cards or anything, which is super nice. So yeah, we had the core deck there, and now we're going into the Eldian deck, which is the main trait of all the set 3, I guess, right? Yeah, all the set 3
final
cards.
season.
So starting off here, we have 3 copies of the Levi Ricky. He was in the last deck. Just very good plussing card the set has now. 3 copies of the Gabi Clean Cut. This just gets 1,000 power when it's on your field on your turn, and it's clean cut. So when you reverse something, you can move one of your other characters to your back row and rest it. So another nice plussing level 0. So along with the Levi, 2 copies of the Falco Brainstorm. He gives 500 power to any character on your field at the start of your climax step, and he's a bit better than a typical Brainstorm with our climax lineup. He is a search Brainstorm, but he only hits on the bar climax and the door climax that we run in this deck. So a little bit limited. You can't run him in every Attack on Titan deck, but he works really well in this one because when you hit your Brainstorm, you also get to give 1,000 power to one of your characters. So again, since we're already running these 2 combos, it's just like a nice little extra free power pump that's just tacked onto the Brainstorm to make it a little bit better than usual. Next card here, we have 3 copies of Chimi Aaron. This is one of the box topper cards you get. I think when we were opening the case, Carmen, what was it? It was like 2.
You get box? 2. You get 2 box toppers per box, which is really nice.
Yeah, they're like
it's easier to get. Yeah.
But yeah, he's one of our main yellow fixes in the deck here. When we play him, we mill 2 cards, and if there's a climax among those cards, he gets +2 soul for the turn. So if you hit a climax, he gets to swing for 3 souls. So that's a nice big damage early on in the game when your opponent is at their least compressed. And when damage dealt by the card is canceled, send him to your stock. So you're either hitting them for big damage or you're generating pretty much a free extra stock. So since the finisher, which is the Sasha and Gabi memory change finisher, this can help us build up a lot of stock so we can hopefully pop off super hard with the extra burn effect on the Gabi at the top end. Moving on, we got 1 copy of the Aaron Drop Searcher. So when you play him, you can pay 1, discard 1, search your deck. So since our level 1 combo is salvaging, it's nice to have some deck access with this Brainstormer or with the Drop Searcher coupled with our Brainstorm. And he also gets an extra soul when he is in the center position of your field. So even throughout the game, he retains his usefulness. Even if you don't need to search with him, you can always just salvage him with your climax combo or search him up with a Brainstorm for your just for like a free 2 soul beater, which is always nice to keep up the pressure. 1 copy of Aaron Alternative Plan Titan. A nice utility card. When you play him, you can choose and pump one of your characters on your field equal to 500 times your field. And you can also discard a character when you play him to draw a card. So nice way to filter our hand as well as give us a little bit of extra power if we need it in one of our lanes. 1 copy of Colossal Titan Painful Sight. Again, another way to get some extra power. When you play him, you reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a character, choose one of your characters and give it 2,000 power. And also a nice little effect to free fresh ourselves here. You can pay 2 when you play it to return your waiting room back to your deck. So shuffle all your climaxes back in. Don't take a point of refresh damage. A nice option to have. 1 copy of the Lobster Sasha that I think this was in the first deck too, right?
Yeah, climax swap. Yeah. Always useful.
That's like pretty much in every deck. It's like a super good card that you can run in the old and new decks. Pretty much every Attack on Titan deck's going to have this card now. Just the ability to switch your climaxes around and get whichever combo you need, super great.
Especially when you play
especially
bar. Yeah.
Yeah, it works especially nice with
Mhm.
gold bars since we're going to be drawing into gold bars throughout the game, so we can switch one into our finisher climax later on. Also has an optional mill 3 effect when we play it, which can be nice because our level 1 combo does not mill a lot of cards or process a lot of cards. It's a nice little way to just help us get through our first deck with some extra mill power, which is also another nice thing about the Chini Aaron having the mill 2 effect stapled onto it. 2 copies of Arthur Broth. This is a card that you're going to see in a lot of the newer builds of Attack on Titan that use the new Eldian cards. He is a frontal 500 power assist, and he has an ability where you can rest 2 of your characters. It can be him and your other card in your back row, or it can just be, you know, whatever. You're going to rest another card and play over it. But yeah, you rest 2 of your characters, and you choose one of your characters, and that character gets the effect when you reverse your opponent. You can get a free stock from the top of your deck. So just a nice way throughout the game or on our kill turn to just generate some extra stock to help pay for the expensive finisher. And rounding out level 0s, 2 copies of the Historia Rico, which is a card that Carmen mentioned in the core deck that he wasn't able to fit in there because of name conditions. But this is a very nice card to run if you have the room for it. On play, you got to look at the top card of your deck and either leave it on top or send it to your waiting room, so you get some knowledge of the top of your deck. And on play, you can discard a card from your hand. Any card can be a gold bar, can be higher level character, whatever you want. And then reveal that top card of your deck and choose a character equal to the level or lower of the card you revealed top of your deck. So you can kind of set up for its own effect with the first effect. You know, check the top card of your deck, make sure you have a high enough level character on top to grab the card you need, and then do the discard effect to salvage the any character from your waiting room that you want. So
This
very
card
nice
is
card to have.
this card is so broken. The
really good.
yeah, the Historia is like it seems so unassuming, and then you play it and you're like, wait, this card's broken. A Rico that I get to reroll,
Yeah,
and
being
it can
able to have 2 chances at hitting the level you want is insane.
like because when you play this card in the early game, you're just looking to hit 1 or lower. That's all you're looking for. Like, so any reroll to get there is nice, and then it just retains its value great in the late game as a ditch out. It can also salvage anything. This works in like any like kind of deck shell that you want to build, provided that you can fit the card. It's just so good.
It can grab Core, it can grab Eldian, it can grab Titan.
And it's Eldian and Core itself. Like it just can fit in every deck. This card's like MVP in the decks that get to play it.
Which is pretty much most decks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Surveilling with the Rico effect is super nuts. You can basically think of it like a free drop salvage instead of having to pay for the effect. Kind of just get it for free.
Yeah.
Because we're assuming that you hit the level you want. But that's it for level 0s. Looks like a lot, but it's only 19 here. Just a lot of 1-ofs and 2-ofs since we have since we're running Door Climax as well as a selective salvaging level 1 combo. We have a lot of access to the whole toolbox here. So fill in that toolbox with tools, as they say. Into the level 1s here, we are running the Falco combo at level 1. He gets 1500 power when you attack with him, and then the Climax combo with the bar. When he attacks, you choose 1 character on your field, and it gets the effect on reverse salvage. So it's kind of like the Corone combo in Hololive, which is a very popular deck as of lately. You can kind of stack all your reverse effects in 1 lane, so even if your opponent has like a runner or any way to like dodge combat, being able to just put all your reverses in 1 lane and then hit the lane that they leave you, or you know, again, standby. If they leave you 1 weak lane, you can put all your reverse effects in the weak lane you can get over. So it's a nice thing to have on reverse searching or salvaging combo, being able to just put everything in 1 lane so you always get the full potential off of your tri-field. And this is a pretty premium combo. I love it when level 1 combos are off of bar climax because it makes them almost impossible to whiff, as you get to mulligan for the climax for your level 1 combo, and then if you trigger it anywhere along the way, you just get the climax to your hand and you're ready to go. And in a world of standby where, you know, we might not always be bigger than our opponents, it can help. Bar climax can help us keep up damage even if we're losing our field. So love to have bar combos nowadays, especially on level 1. Moving on here, we have 3 copies of Gabi on the run. Like Falco gets 1500 power on attack, and when you reverse your battle opponent with it, if you have a climax down, you get the top card of your deck into your stock for free. So just yet another way for us to help build stock throughout the game to build up to our finisher combo. And then rounding out level 1's 1 copy of the Aaron Adachi. Forgot the name of the profile for the second there. But yeah, when he gets reversed, if your opponent's character is higher level than they are, if it's an early play or a standby target or whatever, you can the top card of your opponent's clock stock into their waiting room and then send that card to their clock, so it hard removes it from the field. And he also has another utility effect. On play, you can send one of your opponent's characters to memory, and then they return it to their stage. So if they have any lingering sort of effect from the previous turn, something like the level 1 Aaron combo from the deck that Carmen just talked about, or something like a soul wall effect that will make it so your characters have less soul, you can like remove that card from the field so they lose the effect.
Really
so
good against Rushia too, for like removing the power. You like remove a Rushia, hard remove it, and then help your other character get over. Pretty nice.
Yep, running it mostly because it's an Amagi though, but it does have that extra little bit of utility there as well. On to level 2s, we have another box topper here, Chimi Armin. He is kind of in the deck instead of a traditional assist, but I really like this card a lot because it can kind of just waterfall power and give you just a massive board on the whole rather than just in like a few lanes. It can kind of help you get over their whole standby field or whatever. So yeah, during your turn, he just gives 1500 power to your center lane, and then when your other character's opponent gets reversed, this Armin is going to pump 2000 somewhere into your field, and that can trigger multiple times. So ideally, what I would want to do with this is be playing it along with my early play Aaron, which is already getting a bunch of power on turn. Then this will give him an extra 1500 power in the center lane, and then when I reverse my target with that, I can give 2000 power to my other lane, which hopefully can now get over its target, and then give 2000 power my third lane. And if you have 2 of these Chimi Armins down, it gets really insane when you're just giving 4000 power to each lane. It's very easy to just clear your opponent's entire field then.
And it can activate from front row easily because it's the character in middle position, so it doesn't matter if it's on a wing.
Yeah, he doesn't have to, unlike a true assist also, he's not locked to being in your back row. He can be up in the front if you want him to be. Also running the level 3 killer Aaron, same one that Carmen was running in the first deck. It's just an extra way to just handle their big level 3s like Rushia or any of their big early plays. And a copy of the Mikasa refresh counter. Just as some nice red fix for the deck because we're running 3 colors here, and always nice to have an option for a backup, especially when it is a free fresh counter to help pay out climaxes we have triggered and refresh our deck without taking a penalty point damage. Moving on to level 3s, we'll get the early plays out of the way first here. We have 2 of the Aaron, which is such a godsend for this set, really, especially if you're trying to play the older core focused decks. Having like a good early play healer was something that old AOT really lacked, and I didn't get a chance to really say anything during the deck when Carmen was presenting it, but yeah, that card feels so good to have in the old school deck as well.
Especially because it's 4 or more condition, where no AOT deck really does turbo its deck. Like, it doesn't have the best deck control of any set, so the fact that you don't have to mill out your deck to play it is just even better.
But yeah, especially, it's even good in the LD index here as well because of the secondary effect on it. On turn, it gets extra power, and when you reverse your opponent, you get to send them to your opponent's stock. So it just hard removes their cards from the field, so if it's a big standby card, they can't hard encore it. If it's a card that they would willingly be wanting to pay 3 and just hard encore, something like, say, a Rushia or Kanata or something else, you're at least sending it to a different zone and then making them have to work to get it back if they want to play that combo again. So the hard removal effect is just a nice little bonus to have on the card. And then 1 copy of the Falco early play here as well. He early plays with 2 or less in waiting room. So I always like to have my early play healers like different conditions if possible. So can always get whichever one's going to be useful at the time. And then he heals to stock as well. So instead of just healing like normal, we can discard a card from our hand and send the top card of our clock to our stock and refund a part of that stock cost, which helps out with our finisher turn. And then actually, I'm gonna kick it over here to Carmen for a little bit to talk about the main finisher of the deck, because I know he's been playing a lot with it recently as well and can probably explain
the Sasha
combo a little bit better than me. The Sasha combo.
I've been messing with this a lot. This combo looks so much more expensive than it is. The Sasha is like on play salvage, which is really cool. That works really well with specifically the Fumio that is also in this deck. Being able to, on demand, when you play the Sasha, grab a decompression card to shuffle more cards into your opponent's deck, even if it doesn't decompress them a lot. Anything when you're swinging like multiple vanilla swings with a restander is really nice. And the fact that it's so cheap, if you're just trying to push a bunch of vanilla swings and you're not really going for the icy tail, if your opponent's not in like a really disgusting compression state, any amount of shuffle back is nice, especially because the Sasha is so big. So you play down the Sasha, you salvage a card, and then at the end of Sasha's attack, you pay 2 ditch 2, and then choose any core Eldian character in your waiting room and put it in the slot she was in, and she goes to memory, kind of like the choice slime. So you can summon any character, which is pretty nice. If you only have to deal 2 damage or something like that, or you want to side a level 1 for 1, you can summon any card and side. Nice.
Yeah, except for herself. That's the
Yeah,
one
you
caveat
can't summon herself, so you can't chain them in one lane, which kind of sucks. But you can also summon the Gabby, and the Gabby, when she comes out by Sasha's effect, heals as well as when you hard play it. So when you put this package in your deck, you add 3 healers. I think 3 is the correct number. I tried playing with 2. I tried playing with 4. 4 is too much. 2 is too little. 3 is just right. The card will always be in your grave when you need it, or you'll have triggered it and it's in your stock for you to pay out. Or of course, if you're going to refresh over your attacks, you can use Sasha's salvage effect to pick up the Gabby so that you can ditch it after you attack over deck. So as long as you have 3, it's fine. So the Gabby comes down from either hand or from Sasha's effect, and she heals. And then the Gabby has on attack, pay 2, ditch 1, Icy Tail. So that sounds expensive, and it is if you aim to do the Icy Tail. But the sort of red pill with this is that you're not doing the Icy Tail a lot. However, even if you're in low stock game states, if you use the Arthur back row to tap down and give something to a Sasha when she gets a reverse, if you can snipe a reverse on your opponent's board, you can generate extra stock, which you'll then pay out to then have stock to use for your Gabby Icy Tail. So at least get 1 Icy Tail off. So even with like 4 stock, you push 5 attacks, which is really nice with like only 4 or 5 hand, I think you need, because the Sashas replace themselves. The Climax, they believe you need 5 hand. So for 5 hand and 4 stock, you can push 5 attacks for a finisher, which is very efficient. And then for every 2 stock you can generate after that, whether that is from Arthur line stocks or anything else, you can add Gabby Icy Tails or possibly additional Sasha. So you have a lot of options. It's very modular. The name of the game here, it's damage modularity. Damage modularity at the top end will always win games of White Schwartz. No matter how pushed this game gets, being able to swing for precise numbers is what is going to win games. When you're having to edge out, like, games from 3-5, 3-4 after attacks mid battle, having options in how much soul you can swing for is always powerful. And that's what Sasha gives you for a relatively cheap cost. So this sort of package here of like 4 Sasha, 3 Gabby, 1 Fumio, I think this is like, that is the finisher line if you aim to play Sasha. It's been pretty rock solid so far in testing. I've been testing it in a different shell, which I didn't feel comfortable putting in this video because I really don't have enough like reps on it or like to talk about it yet, but because it runs a kind of like a mix of a lot of different things, but you'll see it on the channel soon. But I think in this deck, it probably works just as well, if maybe not better.
Yeah, maybe even a little bit better in this one, since we have a lot of extra stock generation in this deck as well with the level 1 on reverse, get a free stock.
Yeah, you probably get the Icy Tail effect a lot more in this deck.
That's the plan, hopefully. And again, another cool play you can do with the modularity, like Carmen was talking about, you don't always have to summon the level 3 Gobby with the Sasha combo. You can summon any character from your waiting room. So you can like summon, for example, the Chimi Aaron, and then swing with that if you want to deal like swing for lower amounts of damage, right? If you don't want to swing for 2, you can like swing for 1 instead. And then if that damage gets canceled, he goes to stock and refunds you again. So
yeah, it's like what if your opponent's like 1-5 and the Fumio's locked in your stock? You swing in for 3 with your Sasha because you're forced to for some reason. Your opponent eats it and you know they're going to cancel it too. You just summon the Chimi Aaron and then you get a free stock and then you can Gabby over their new deck. Like it gives you a lot of options.
Definitely.
But yeah, this is the baseline. What I started with were just the pure Aldean deck, using the canned support that you had for Bardor. I think like out of the box, I think like Bardor and 8 Choice are the ones that most easily just build themselves, as well as 8 Pants, which we're going to get to in a moment here. But definitely, I have not really been seeing a lot of praise online for the Sasha combo on the whole. But like Carmen is saying, I think it's deceptively good.
Yeah, it's deceptively efficient. Yeah, you see like pay 2 on one card and pay 2 on another card, and your Weiss brain just says that's too much. I'm not doing that. But in practice, it works out a lot better.
Yeah, because it's kind of cheating the cost in multiple ways in a sense. Because like it's a lot of stock to pay, but then you're swinging a bunch of times to generate extra stock. It's a lot of hand to discard, but the Sasha's adding cards back to your hand when you play it. So the cost isn't as bad as it first reads.
Yeah.
So definitely give this deck a shot if you want to to try something that's using a lot of all the new cards, all your favorite characters from Season 3, lots of Gobbies and Falcos. And yeah, I think we're good to move on to the 8 Pants deck here.
All right, Pants Grab Titans. Let's go. I've played this deck quite a bit. I'll just run through the cards we haven't gone on over. There's a lot of cards in this deck that we've already seen, so I'm just going to go over the new ones. This Zeke is like the new premier plussing 0 of Attack on Titan Final Season. It is an on-play Futaba effect, so you reveal top, and as long as it is an Eldian character, I believe. I don't think it hits on anything. I'm going to double check that right now. No, it must be an Eldian character. Eldian only. You reveal top. You may put it underneath him as a marker, so that retains some utility into the late game for, 5-card brainstorms, slowly moving one card, checking your top trigger, things of that nature, which, for this deck at the top end is kind of important if you have to side out, which is nice. And then he is a mill runner. So 3k potential mill runner, and then if you whiff, he's still a 2k mill runner. So you have multiple chances to plus with this one card, which is really nice for like an evasive big card.
Yeah, and for what it's worth too, I really wanted to get this card into the Bardor deck as well, but since I added the yellow stuff in there at the top and it got like a little too color greedy, so I couldn't really justify adding like a lot of copies of a blue card in, but this card is so good.
Fixing for Aaron early play is a struggle for a lot of these Eldian decks, and I'm going to get into that when I get to level 3 with this as well. We are playing Levi Ricky in this deck. We are not playing the Beast Titan. You would think the Beast Titan would synergize well with Reiner because you must fill your field. However, it is more important to get a playable card to fill your field than it is to potentially get 2 cards you cannot play. So we're just going to run Levi. It's more consistent. I've already sung its praises in the Corpse one, so we'll just go on. We're playing the Peak Brainstorm. It's a brainstorm that only hits on Pants. However, it is a Rest 2 5-card brainstorm. Rest 2 in this deck specifically is pretty nice when we talk about the top end if we need extra cards. It also gives our center Eldian character Hand on Core, which is really cool, and helps us loop our Reiner combo, because that's kind of all this deck does until you pop off. You kind of combo, and then try to kill your opponent. 2 Aaron Titans, already talked about this one. Pretty good for the power pump in this deck as well, just making sure things can get over. This deck is notably kind of weak to standby, and that's why the Connie is in the deck for his high power line. 2 Arthur, really good in this deck for generating extra stock. We're a stock gated finisher. 2 Historia, because this card is broken and one of the best filters. It's a way to filter an unplayable card into a playable card, so that we can fill our board for our level 1 Reiner combo, which is nice. 2 Porco instead of Chieri. This is a 500 power bottom deck bomb, which is good in this meta for denying Hololive and other things. But the fact that this card is pay 1 sack deck 4 continually comes up. This deck has very poor 2-card, 3-card stockouts and cannot afford to bury climaxes for its finisher. So this card becomes more premium versus Chieri in terms of like a deck speed patch tool. So this card is going to be in the deck instead of Chieri, even though this deck is all Eldian. And then 1 Sasha Climax swap. Card's really good. We have very good selection for level 0s in this deck specifically because of the way Reiner works. So we're only going to play 1, even though we're 8 Pants. So we're playing into level 1. We're playing 4 of the Reiner combo. This is a on your turn plus 15, and then with climax down 7k. And then on attack, you discard any card, mill top 2, and then salvage 2 where the combined level extra lower of the cards that you milled. So if you mill level 2 and you're level 1, you can salvage 2 level 3s, 1 and 0, 2 level 1s, climax and a 0, level 0. You know how cigarettes works. You just take 2 and you got a ditch up front. The hand filter is nice. Notably, this card has a full field condition. Both of your climax combos in the decks have a full field condition. It is really annoying, but it is really good. I think if this card didn't have a full field condition, it would actually be broken, and you would be trying to play it in every deck, and maybe even trying to jam it. Like, it would be a reason to not play core, because this card kind of reads whatever, but when you play it, it does give you a lot of utility. When you hit level 3 with 2 of this and you ditch a junk card, you feel like the strongest person in the world. This combo plays a lot better than it reads. We were playing 4 of the Connie. This card unfortunately was errated, so we can't do a very cheeky play with the hand on core anymore. But we're still playing 4 of it to fix for yellow. Fixing for yellow is a big problem when you want to fit Aaron early play because he's so good and so non-committal, but yellow really hard to fit in like non-core because you don't have Armin runner like buffing up your yellow count. So we're just gonna play 4 Connie and go to level 1. Connie is really good in this deck because he has 7-5 base, climax down 8-5. So he challenges things like MTI, challenges things like 8 standby Quints, specifically their 2/2s, and they don't play level 1 backups when the 2/2 is down. The 2/2 is on in the front row. And when Connie kills a card or is reversed himself, that card cannot use Encore, or you can not use Encore in that lane. So if you run over a Quint's 2/2 with this Connie, they lose it and they cannot get it back, and they're forced to have another standby to get it out in the front row again, which is really cool. It's also minimally, like, it's kind of disruptive against Kanatamarine, because if they have the Mikos in the front row, they can't use Clock Encore. You just can't use Encore at all. Unfortunately, the old play you could do before this card was errated was in the center lane, you could use the Peak to save it and then just like repeatedly run over your opponent's 2/2s if your opponent was playing Quints and they were very sad. But you cannot do that anymore, but we still need yellow, and the card's still a very good attacker, so we're just going to play 4 of it to fix for color. Moving into level 2, only 2 cards here. They're both pretty situational. We have the Porco. He is a 2/1 to front assist for level 3s, so it can help our finishers get over to make sure they don't get memory kicked or removed from board by our opponent's effects, which is important in the matchup, so that's irrelevant. And then whenever you trigger a Pants, you can discard any card to salvage a character. So it's got that Spriggan effect from South 10th Anniversary, which is ungodly broken, but this card's a 2/1, so it's not online the whole game, so unfortunately it doesn't have that same impact to the way the deck plays, but the power is very relevant. Also, we have the Cart Titan. The Cart Titan's actually pretty nutty. This is the first time this profile has been printed in English. It is a 2/1 bottom deck anti-higher level bomb, so 2/1 Adachi, and then on play, you mill top 3. If you hit a climax, you choose one of your opponent's characters in front row and you kill it. You send it to waiting room. So it is a 2/1 Adachi that can clear 2 lanes. Not very good at clearing Grushia because of the hand Encore, clearing 2 lanes, but it does tax your opponent's hand and remove 1, which is always good. But anything with a fat early play board, specifically Kanata, this card can just completely murder them if you're compressed, which as long as you're not triggering climaxes, this deck can get pretty compressed. The issue is when you do, it all kind of falls apart because you want to have a lot of stock, but you also want to pay out climaxes, so it creates kind of like a push-pull that can be a little hard to deal with. But that doesn't mean the card Titan isn't worth slamming down. The card's really, really good.
Yeah, not to mention, too, it is a bottom deck bomb as well, so even though the first mill effect, they can Encore for, if you crash this in, they can't, so still a good answer to Grushia, Kanata, whatever.
Yeah, all those big early play level 2 boards. Moving into our finisher, like our level 3s. Actually, I'm going to briefly talk on the Aaron. Again, Aaron early play, it's really good for this deck. We're forcing yellow because the blue canned early play, despite being three the same, it's 2 stock. It's just more committal to have to put the Porco down and have to sculpt for the Porco. When we do hit 3s on our Reiner combo, we always want to be grabbing either our finisher like pieces or the early play itself. So we really don't want to have to deal with that. So we'd rather force yellow to play Aaron early play, just because if we have the stock threshold, we can play the 2 stock, get our heal, maybe get another level turn it to just sort of build some extra resources. But it's just better to force yellow to play this rather than play the Zeke early play, which requires you to have the Peak and the Porco in your back row to be played at all. So forcing yellow becomes easier than fielding those cards in the deck. So that's why we're playing Aaron.
I was gonna say the stock kick effect just feels so worth it on the Aaron. Also, that another incentive to play him.
It's just so good. But the rest of our level 3 lineup is completely dedicated to our finisher. We have the Armored Titan. The Armored Titan has no on play effect, but he gains 1500 power and hand Encore as long as you're playing the game. His finisher combo is on attack, pay 2, discard any card, reveal the top 9 cards of your deck, and for every Pants trigger you reveal, burn your opponent X, where X is the number of those cards that you reveal. So twice.
Pretty good.
So if you reveal 3 or 4, you burn your opponent for 3 or 4 twice. That is really destructive. This card has really disgusting numbers. You can hop on Discord, check out the charts. This card stacks up even against like some of the most disgusting finishers that are being printed in modern Japanese format, which is crazy to say. This card pushes an obscene amount of damage. To mitigate the fact that this card has no on play effect, we have this other Reiner. This Reiner here, this 3/2, is a healer, and he has Act, sacrifice him, change into the Armored Titan from grave. Notably, this card does not have to be standing. This card doesn't have any additional cost. What we can do is we can use either our Brainstorm to tap down 2 of these Reiners before we change if we need extra hand or we need to mill into a new deck because we're out of climaxes. We can tap down these to give a 3rd Armored Titan on reverse stock charge to decrease the amount of stock that we need. If we play down 2 of these Reiners and an Armored Titan, we tap our 2 Reiners in the front row and our 2 back row cards, and giving 1 Armored Titan on reverse stock charge, we stock charge 2, lowering our threshold from 10 to triple to only 8. so it can really bring down our like gross stock threshold to just absolutely murder our opponent, to you know, a lot more manageable if we're able to get it off. It also works very well with the ready to end event, which is very dark. So you can play this 3-1 event, rest your 3-2 Reiner, go search 3 characters from your deck, and then discard 1. So it helps you get cards you need in your hand for your finisher turn, or ditch an Armored Titan from your hand so that your healer can change into. So a nice little utility card to just help confirm your finisher turn for only 1 stock, which is nice. We don't spend a lot of stock up until our finisher turn here in this deck. So this extra little utility piece that is functionally additional copies of every other card we need at the end game is pretty nice. We can also use it to like go get an Arthur, so like this card it becomes free to rip things out of our deck. It also compresses us by 3 to make it so that our finisher hits more consistently, or hits numbers that we want, right? Maybe we don't want to do it because we think if we rip 3 cards out of our deck, maybe we're burning 4 or 5 twice, and we kind of want to do 2 or 3 twice. 3 twice is like the optimal number. That's the number that just murders your opponent more often than not. So just a way to, you know, manipulate your deck to make sure that the Armored Titan goes off. Notably, I left this out with the Armored Titan because I want to talk about it here at the end. The Armored Titan requires full field. If anything removes any card on your board, you're donezo. You cannot combo in any of the other lanes. Armored Titan is also a baby in this format. He is 11-5 with no other supports. That's why the Aaron Titan is in the deck for the extra power. That's why we have Porco. Even the extra 500 from Arthur ends up being relevant. Any way that we have to make sure that we can get over to dodge memory kick counter, which is like the least committal, most destructive thing our opponent could do to stop our finisher, you know, it just gives us a way out to it. Even if you have to side out with this combo though, it is pretty destructive. You're running a lot of soul triggers because you have the 8 pants, but you know, you don't want to trigger pants on your finisher turn, but if you do, you get that extra 1 damage in if your opponent has all level 3s. But just something to keep in mind when you're playing this deck.
Yeah, even if you low roll, right, like quote unquote low roll, and like only hit 1 climax out of the 9, that's still Coco Chino. It's
Right,
still
exactly.
For the same cost
really good.
of pay 2 ditch
Yeah.
1. So like the lowest low roll that you could probably get in 9 on most deck states is Cocachino, which is still good. I have hit 0 on this combo, but like, you know,
That feels bad, yeah.
you play things enough times, it's gonna happen, right? Law of large numbers. My biggest issue with this deck, and I've kind of alluded to it as I've talked about it, this deck has a really annoying gameplay loop when things do not go optimally. Everything in your deck has a full field condition, which makes recovering difficult if you open bad. If you trigger climaxes at 3rd or 2nd position when you are playing a deck like this, and I've played many decks like this, especially in the Japanese format, things like Assault Lily, where like you really just are building up to this like disgusting nut that absolutely no one can live through, even from like low to mid level 2, theoretically. And when you're playing that kind of deck, you do just bury climaxes because you want to get to 3 first anyway, and you also cannot afford to expend stock when you are stock gated, like
Is that
Reiner
what you mean
is.
by 3rd or 2nd position? Can you clarify
Yeah,
that?
like first attack or 2nd attack.
Okay, so like
Yeah.
you trigger early and you like bury it, and then you don't want to pay out the stock.
Yeah, so you don't want to pay out the stock, right? Because you're stock gated on your finisher cost. However, Reiner has a unique additional problem where with every climax you trigger and decide to bury, your finisher becomes worse. And like that back and forth combined with the additional 3rd factor where this deck sucks at paying down to 2nd or 3rd position in a meaningful way before level 2. If you trigger in 3rd or 2nd position between 0 or 1 or 2 when you don't have Aaron down to play, or you can't fulfill your board for Aaron, or it's not right for you to play Aaron, it's right for you to take a turn to just punt the mid game and build resources for your finisher, and you bury, it's just terrible. And I personally hate dealing with it. This was the deck that I played the most on unreleased, and it's probably the deck that I have the most reps on outside of the other one that I'm currently testing, the like sort of mixture deck. But like it just made me not want to play it that much because I personally couldn't find the solution. There are some cards that you can put in here if you decide to cut yellow or just get really greedy on level. Like if you cut 2 Connies, you can play this card as a 1/0 peak that mills 2, gains 1,000 power for every Eldian character you mill. So it's like a 6k attacker, which is nice if you hit 2 characters. And then you can discard any character to summon a level 0. That card helps a lot with the latter 2 problems because it helps fill your field so you can recover with Reiner combo when things go poorly. Or it can summon the Porco, which is a stock out. Or just summon a card for you to tap down your front row and brainstorm again if negging your hand isn't an issue to fix your compression state. But it's still a major issue with the deck that I haven't seen a lot of people talk about that I just really wanted to mention because I found it extremely frustrating to deal with when things did not go optimally. When things go super well with this deck, you're a king or queen. Like you're the best player. Like nothing can stop you because if your opponent doesn't have options at the top to just stop your Reiner, or if you're doing well enough where it doesn't matter and you just side out and still burn your opponent for 3 in every lane twice, like who even cares at that point? But like no one remembers the bad games. They only remember the good games, right? So it's just something I wanted.
Brother.
Yeah, it's just something I wanted to mention.
You gotta be strong-willed. It's a very Reiner deck. You just gotta be strong-willed and charge forward and not give a fuck. And you gotta go for that high roll, baby.
I mean, it's all flavor. When you're Reiner, sometimes life is pain.
True. When you are Reiner, sometimes life really is pain. But yeah, I think that's everything. Do we have any like closing thoughts on these AOT decks? I think I haven't seen a lot of like fervor for final season. I think people are more down on it than they should be.
I think during reveal season, people were really, really sleeping on it. But I think coming out of the gate and seeing some of the things that have come out of the set so far, I think it's perfectly fine, and it's a solid competitive set. It has a lot of fun ways you can play around with both the old cards and the new stuff.
Yeah, like so many different viable things you can do.
I think a lot of initial hype for it, which I know is something I was initially hyped for, was like, oh boy, I can't wait to use level 1 Aaron Wind combo again with the ears and everything. That was like the big, that was the big thing, trying to get that whole deck back together. And as we looked at, you can, and it's still a very, very good deck. But the deck didn't get a ton of new support cards per se. A lot of the new support stuff was focused on the newer archetypes, of course. So the old school, Aaron Mikasa deck maybe didn't get the perfect solution, you know what I mean? But it did get a lot of, still got like a breath of fresh air into it and like a big shot in the arm still. So I think it's definitely something for everyone. I think they did a very good job with this set, except for messing up the Fumio.
Yeah, frankly, at the beginning, I was surprised that we even got new core trade cards at all. I figured this was going to be like Memory Snow 2.0, and it was going to be completely like trait gated.
Yeah, they did a really good job of making everything work together.
Yeah, they created cards that could be used in both shells without making it Batman Ninja. And that being said, there are a lot of Attack on Titan cards to already, so the core side didn't need that much to like feel like a new deck and feel relevant. But it definitely could have been worse. So I think there's a lot to be excited about with AOT final season. And I think that brings us to the end here. If you are planning on going to Toronto this weekend, Brian and I will be there, as well as some of our other locals. So if you see us there at our tournament, definitely hit us up. We love meeting y'all. It's always a good time. And then upcoming content, we have to do Kaguya 2. We also have to do Dao 3.
Yeah, are those the only set reviews we are not caught up on?
Yeah. After Toronto, we finally have a reprieve until December, right? For New York.
We can take a break from competitive grinding for a little bit. Yeah, the next one we're planning to be at is the New York one in December. Yeah. Yeah,
we apologize for the quicker, more lower effort stuff a lot of the time because outside of the Attack on Titan live stream, which was a live stream instead of the normal multi videos we put out, it is really hard to get this stuff out while also getting ready for the season. Something that affects all the channels and stuff like that focus on competitive content and whatnot. It's really hard with the very fast turnaround between events. I mean, we were just in Chicago the other weekend, and now we're going to Toronto this weekend. So it's definitely easy to burn out and stuff like that. But we're still getting stuff out there, and we'll get that long form stuff out very soon for those new announced sets. And by the time we finish those, I'm sure there'll be something else. Hopefully not Quint's movie. Keep that one out of English for a while. I want want that. I don't want that until the end of 2023. Give us some time to catch up, please. But yeah, I think that's it. You guys got anything else?
That's it from me.
I'm all good, man. I'm really looking forward to, not looking forward to Kaguya 2 and Data Live 3 so much. I'm really looking forward to Avatar 1.
Oh, Avatar's gonna be sick. Yeah.
Avatar's gonna be hype. I'm hyped for that and Seven Deadly Sins too. Those are gonna be cool. Unfortunately, it won't be legal for New York, right? It'll be like come out that weekend.
Do we have a day for SDS? But I mean,
but we
if
do.
it comes out in December at all, it will not be legal for New York.
Yeah, I believe it comes out like that weekend or the weekend after. All right. Well, with that, Pittsburgh White Shorts signing off. We'll see you all in the next one.